Moses here in week 4 discussion. I'm doing something a little bit different this time around. I'm actually going to be doing a video of my computer screen. So you won't see my face, but you'll see my screen and you'll hear my voice. So this week's discussion question is adapt or adopt. And this is the question right here we're looking at. Imagine that you were told by your institution that you cannot adapt the course book you are assigned to teach. How would you address this situation? So question number 1. So the first thing I would do is discuss with the institution I'm working at is to what degree can I not adapt this course book? Is it I just simply cannot, like 100% I cannot adapt it, or are certain adaptations acceptable? I actually found an article, which I'm going to show you guys here. It's actually regarding English teaching in Cambodia, and actually it's adapting. You can see the title right here. So this is by I'm going to try to pronounce their names: Kagnarith, Klein, and Middlecamp. It's kind of an interesting name, and it's 2012 article, so fairly recent. And it looks at various situations. It actually looks at reasons why and why and how to adapt materials, which I found fairly useful. Now, before going into that, I just want to make a quick note that they do say in this article that if there's nothing inherently wrong with using the textbook, there's no need to adapt it. So, and it would again depend on the situation. It would depend on my course as well as the textbook, and whether the textbook and its components are meeting my students' needs. So, only when, and this is the quote right here, and I quote, "Only when a text lesson does not adequately reflect the needs and interests of learners must changes be considered." Okay, so that's an important part. Now, as for what I was saying earlier, to what extent I would ask my administration, to what extent can I adapt, and if I can, to what extent can I would be asking them these points here. Can I, sorry, not those right here in the how section. Sorry. I would be asking regarding how can I adapt if they do give me a certain arm's reach, if they give me a little bit of adapting ability. Would reordering parts of lessons within a unit in a textbook, so that's not necessarily changing the content per se, but is changing the ordering, or would omitting parts of the textbook be considered acceptable, where the activities are, it says here, are not necessary for learners to achieve the lesson's objectives. So maybe some parts of the textbook are redundant. Now, given the fact that here they're saying that I could not adapt the course book, chances are that everything in the textbook would be relevant to the lesson, the course objectives, the lesson's objectives. I find that a little bit hard to grasp, just considering that most courses don't cover 100% of what's in a textbook specifically. They usually highlight the major components or major chapters of a textbook and cover that in as best as they can. So anyways, that would, answering the first question, I'd talk with my institution and I would say, well, to what degree can I not adapt the course book? And if I cannot adapt the course book, I would also want to know why. So looking at the second question, let's look here. Okay. Also, imagine that you adapted a course book, but your learners objected to the adaptations you made. How would you address the situation? So going back to this article, which I find this a useful article, it notes it right here, okay, is, and I'm not going to quote directly because it'd be fairly long, but basically you need to make sure, and this paraphrasing here from this article, is that you need to make sure the students understand the reasons why you're making changes. You're making adaptations from the textbook or omissions from the textbook. So, for example, and it also goes on to say that in this article, students could also be somewhat upset if they buy an expensive textbook and you end up omitting a lot of sections from the textbook. And then a lot of students will say, well, why did I buy this textbook if we're only using a limited lessons or chapters out of this book? So yes, you'd have to make it known why are you making the adaptations, and that would go into looking here, the why. So in explaining to my students, I would explain the various particular reasons as to why I made the difference and that it would be in their best interest. Some of it I think that students would appreciate is if it was personalized, and I don't think many students would complain regarding that, as well as to localize it into their specific content. I don't see a lot of students complaining regarding these specific reasons. In actually just looking at all of them, to personalize it, to modernize it, to simplify it, to localize it, all of these reasons here seem just fairly good up front. I could see maybe why a student may have issues with modernizing it. Maybe they're less interested in specific concrete examples, such as news, it's saying here in the article. Maybe they just want to look at the language specifically in abstract form and learning the mechanics of language, and they're not so much interested in its application in regards to, let's say, news, for example, or looking at issues regarding mobile phones in the workplace, it says here. Maybe they're not even interested in this topic that you would have chose for the class. So given that, I would take into account my students' feedback, and I would take it into account and determine whether or not I should change my adaptation that I made, or whether I should keep it. And I would make my decision known to my students and give my reasons why. So as long as the students and the teacher are on the same page, I think this should help prevent the situation. And if it does come up, I feel that being honest with your students and giving them sound reasons as to why they should be understanding given the situation. So, and that's it for me. I hope to hear back from you guys. And ciao. See you later.